All real estate agents that are successful have one thing in common, and it is repeat and referral business. The problem is, it takes 20 years for most real estate agents to build this up. And when I started the business in 2019, I went around and asked all these successful top producing agents in my office, where did all your business come from? And they all said repeat and referral, and you can't exactly do that when you're starting in the business. So in this video, I'm going to go through an entire blueprint of how you can create a database of gold so that you can have a repeat and referral business within the first 3 to 5 years instead of having to wait 20 years. This is exactly what I did when I started selling in 2019 until I completely stopped selling in 2020. I sold about $50 million in real estate in that 2.5 year span. And that has led to me selling over $100,000 in GCI every single year, completely by accident, taking absolutely no new leads whatsoever, and making 0 phone calls to my database. So having a repeat referral business database, even if you haven't sold for a really long time, is definitely doable. I'm gonna share this blueprint with you in this video. So let's go ahead and dive in. So I've got my iPad here. I'm gonna go ahead and break down. I have 2 totally different things. One you've heard of, which is a sales funnel, and one you have not heard of, which I'll get back to in a second. So the first one is the sales funnel. Now, if you're familiar with sales, you probably know what this is, but most people actually don't show this or don't imagine this correctly in their mind. A lot of times when people think of a sales funnel, they think of it something like this. And you have top, and you have mid, and you have bottom. And the problem is the actual visualization of this. Now, realistically, here's a stat for you, is about 3% of the population actually moves. Right, so these are the real deals. There is another 3%, so let's call it 3 to 6%, that are considering. Now, the last thing, that leaves us with, let's just say this is the 6%, that leaves us with 91% of people are not thinking about moving. So let's just say not moving. So the problem with most people's sales funnels is they don't draw them anywhere near accurately. So if this is the top of funnel, it should be 91% of people. Now, the middle of funnel is going to be, this isn't even remotely accurate, but it's much more accurate than, I just spelled mid wrong. It's much more accurate than how most people describe it, because this is 6% of your, let's just say, your database. Now, the bottom of funnel would be half the size of this, which would be, let me make it actually legible, something like this, right? And this is your bottom. And this is your 3% of the database. Now, the problem here, even farther the problem with this, your top of funnel are people who are just not really looking to move. This is like your very long-term nurtures. Your middle of funnel are people who are thinking about making a move, but most of them aren't going to. And then your bottom of funnel this is where everybody is chasing for bottom of funnel people. The lead sources you could think of like this are all the really expensive one. Right, you have Zillow, you have Realtor.com, you have the people posting on Facebook looking for referrals, all of these different things. This is what people just fighting over this bottom of funnel. And the problem is there's so much opportunity up here in the top, and the middle is honestly my favorite. So that's where most people aren't talking. So we can talk about a sales funnel, but I also want to talk about kind of the timeline of what actually has to happen. Now, there are a handful of different things, but let me just go ahead and number these out. So number one thing that has to happen is you have to generate a lead, right? Even this is family, past clients, whatever the source is, doesn't matter. You have to get somebody as a lead. Now, the second thing that needs to happen is you need to have a conversation, right? The third thing is you need to set an appointment. And if this sounds incredibly simple, it's because it is. Sales is not overly complicated. We'd like to make it more complicated than it actually is. But let's say we go down here and we get to number 4, is that we do some sort of a consultation, right? Now let's say we're talking about buyers for now, but for listings, there's no difference so far. And for number 5, you would need an agreement. right? This is where some sort of an offer, and this is where buyers and sellers will kind of veer off. I'm just going to write buyers to make it a little bit simpler. Number 6 is they need to write offers, or if you're on a listing, you would accept offers or review offers. And then from there, you have escrow and close. So I guess it's not just for buyers, it's the same. Right, and then everybody's happy. So this is 7 and 8. Now, if you are talking about buyers, you also have in here somewhere, I'm just going to do a little asterisk, they have to get approved. So when I'm talking to any of our agents on our team about conversion, and they're asking, well, Christian, what do I do for follow-up, especially with these people who are at the top of the funnel? Well, top of the funnel, you're going to handle differently than middle, and certainly different than bottom. Bottom is you're just doing a deal, and you go through this process pretty quick. With your nurture, you're not doing any of these things. And with your middle of funnel, this is where most of the opportunity is lost. So when you're talking to somebody at the middle of the funnel, you basically are just moving them along the line. So you generate a lead, you have a conversation. If you set an appointment, you should be then doing a consultation, which is one thing most people miss. We cover a ton of that in our sales masterclass. And then once you get an agreement signed, it's like, okay, we need to be able to find the right house, and then we need to go through the deal, right? This is all of the different things that happen throughout an actual escrow period before you get into the house, right? And this is where you make the money, and this is the beginning over here. So these are the different things that happen inside of your sales funnel, and this is how a lot of people talk about it. Now, I want to underline one key thing here is that most people do not put a big enough emphasis on these different percentages here, right? So we have 3% of people are actually going to move, and let's just say this is the number I hear all the time is real estate agents want to do 1 deal a month. So let's say 12 deals in a year. And if you have 3% of your database is actually going to move, so if we take 3% and we want 12 deals, well, that means we need to talk to 1 out of every 33 people. Oops, sorry. 1 of 33 people are actually going to turn into a closed deal. So the question is, are you generating 33 leads every single month in order to get to your 12 deals? And this is where most agents aren't even remotely close to generating as many leads as they need to close the amount of deals that they want to. Now, your conversion rates are going to change. Like, I totally understand all of that. I'm just talking very generally broad on all different types of lead sources. So if you're talking to 1 of 33 people, you're going to have a lot of people fall out of the funnel, or people aren't going to actually do a transaction. So this is number 1. This is overall your sales funnel, right? This is what we just talked about as the sales funnel. I don't like that pink. Let's go with yellow, right? That's what we just talked about. Now, this leads me to the second thing, which most people, I haven't ever heard of it explained this way, but this is how I explain it to my team, is I say the 2 buckets. And you're thinking, Christian, what are you talking about? But let's go ahead and dive in. So 2 different buckets. I'm going to give you another visual. So let's say we have 2 different buckets. We have bucket number 1 over here, and I don't think I have enough room. We have bucket number 1 over here, and we have bucket number 2 over here. Okay, really ugly buckets, but you get the point. Now, over here, we have leads, and we want leads to turn into clients, which are going to be over here on bucket number 2. Now, there's several different ways to look at this, but your inbound lead flow, so you generate leads. However, just like you generate leads in a funnel, right? Just like you do the same thing on a funnel, you generate leads in the top of the funnel. You also generate leads on your 2 buckets. This is just a different way to visualize what happens, right? So you generate leads, you get referrals, right? Whatever it is. Now, again, our whole goal here is to generate repeat and referral business. This is exactly why I like the 2 bucket analogy. Now, how you do this is you should be following a sales process. This is how you turn leads. Oops, I spelled process wrong. This is how you turn leads into clients, is you follow a proven sales process that's going to take somebody from being a stranger to a client. Now, what do I define as a client? My definition is they have signed a contract and or you're 95% sure that they're going to do a transaction with you, because maybe they're a little bit farther out, but you can say they're a client if you're 95% sure they're going to do a deal with you. Not every single client has a signed contract. I get that. Now, inside of your sales process, your leads bucket is likely to have leaks. Now, how good your follow-up is, how good your nurture is, all of this is going to depend how leaky your bucket actually is. Now, the goal here is we have a very, very full bucket of leads. Now, I'm going to leave this line here blank, and I'm going to draw another one here in a second. Now, as I said, your sales process is going to be converting these leads into clients, where you are going to be winning the business. Now, the goal is that you fill this bucket up. Now, this here, this bucket is where you're building a database of gold. Right? Let me give you two completely different examples. Let's say real estate agent number 1 over here on the left, right? So let's just say real estate agent, this is number 1. And they generate leads and their sales process is okay, but they have a pretty leaky overall bucket. And they're turning out to be a little bit more transactional. What'll often happen is 90% of their database are leads and only 10% of their database are clients. We can look at this same thing in the funnel. We just don't know where they're at in the funnel, but we know that this person here is going to have a little bit harder time than real estate agent number 2, let's say, where let's say 60% of their leads are actual leads, but 40% are clients. This person has much more of a database of gold. Now, you could say, Christian, which one has a bigger database overall? And for sure, that's a really valid point. So if you are an agent that's generating tons of leads, and if you're not, you should probably join a team. And if you don't want to join a team, you should probably learn how to advertise and generate tons of leads, because that's the easiest way. And this is, in my opinion, the best way to build faster a database of repeat referral business. And I want you to do it in 3 to 5 years and not 20 years. So number 1 way to do that is you generate a ton of leads in here. Number 2, so that's number 1, is lead generation. Number 2 is your sales process. How many of the leads that you're actually generating are you converting into customers? Are you giving good customer service? Are you giving them a good experience in working with you? Are you moving these people over into your client bucket? And this is going to be your conversion rate. However, there's 2 different types of conversion in my opinion. There's a lot of people that only focus on, let me go back to my second visual. There's a lot of people that only focus on converting these guys down here in the bottom of the funnel, right? There's a lot of sales trainers, and I've talked to a lot of agents that have been in the business for 20 years. Let me give a quick story. I have an agent that I know that has been in the business for 20 years, and he's done hundreds and hundreds of transactions. And he came to me asking, how have we built this database, repeat and referral business in such a short amount of time? How did I do it personally? How does our team do it? And the answer is, we do it up here. We do it in our middle of funnel, but really in our top of funnel. We do a lot of what people call nurture, is like, I don't know, staying in front, right? In front, whatever the hell that means. That doesn't mean anything. I want to add value to everyone. And I want to do that. How often? I want to do it always. That's one of the major reasons why I make content like this. I make it for real estate agents because I want to be giving value to a lot of people. This is top of funnel activities all the time. I do this same exact thing for the consumer side, where we have a database of, let's just say on the consumer side, we have a database of, I don't know, 15,000 people here. We probably have somewhere like 600 here down. And we send emails, we make content, right? So this, the top of funnel, you have maybe a newsletter. You have, we make YouTube. We make lead magnets. Right? We do a lot of different things to add value to our consumers over time. We do market updates, which is, I guess, inside of our newsletter, but this is the most powerful one. I'm a huge email proponent guy, right? Especially if you generate a lot of leads, you should probably get good at email. Now, this portion down here, right? Your middle of funnel is going to be way more of your actual sales process. Now, I'm a huge fan of show, don't tell. There's so many, especially the most successful real estate agents, they say, I'm not going to meet with anybody until they sign an agreement. I'm not going to do anything until they go get pre-approved. I'm not going to do anything. And it's just, honestly, it's just so incredibly lazy. And they can do it because they have past clients, they have referrals, they have this book of business already built out. But for everybody else that doesn't, it's just crazy to me how bad of a sales process they actually have. And I want to show, not tell. Let me rewrite this. It looks terrible. I want to show, not tell, what it actually looks like to work together before we ever ask them to do business with us. Now, this, I will say, without a shadow of a doubt, increases your conversion rate. I'm just going to write CVR for conversion. Now, I say this, again, without a shadow of a doubt, because we have a lot of very experienced agents that have been in the business for 5, 10, 20 years, and they don't have repeat referral business. And they join our company, our team, Onyx Homes, because they see what we're doing and they're like, gosh, I must have missed something. And they realize that they were banking on repeat referral business and they just milked that until there was no business left. Or they didn't build that and then they were in this hamster wheel of lead generation. So they're in this hamster wheel of lead deal. And I've literally talked to an agent that was trained that if somebody was not buying a home or selling a home in 90 days, to literally delete their phone number, which I can't think of anything crazier in this business when the sales cycles are so long. I mean, our average is 6 months. That's for closed deals. And that number gets longer every single year. So I wanted to make sure in this training that what I go through is I'm sharing with you everything that we do in here. So number one is generating tons of leads. Number two is following a sales process for conversion, both long and short term. So number two is you're actually just converting leads over. But conversion on the short term is your sales process. Conversion on the long process is what is going to be number three here, which is your value nurture. Right? So we want to turn these leads into clients. So number one is by one, generating a lot of leads. Number two is by having a solid sales process so that you're actually converting leads into clients that you do receive. Now, the last thing is I want next year's business. So I talked to an agent here. How many agents, how often do you hear, I'm going to move next year? And then most agents, I say this from experience, will never follow up with that person. Maybe they'll call them once. I would rather win the business now, because I get agents asking me this question all the time. Hey, Christian, this person's moving in 2 years. What do I do? And what I ask is, well, are you going to be in the business in 2 years? And I would hope they always say yes, which they do. They always say yes. So if you're still going to be in the business 2 years from now, our average price point's about $1 million. I'm sure it'll be higher in 2 years. And let's just say we have a low average commission, and this 2 years from now is $20,000. Well, if you want to be in the business 2 years from now, do you think it's worth doing some value follow-up for $20,000 2 years from now? Like, are we really that impatient? And that's what brings me to a quote that I love, and I believe this is Gary Keller, but I'm not 100% sure. This is where people always think about, oh, I had this good year or whatever, but I love focusing on your career versus a year. And this is why I'm so adamant with our team on a database of gold. Now, we have a lot of videos talking about how to generate leads and how to do all that stuff. And there's other videos on how to actually nurture with value. But honestly, it's just more of a mindset of plugging these holes in your leads bucket. Because a lot of the times, one, agents don't generate nearly enough leads. Most agents successful agents have an okay sales process, and very few people do a good job of long-term value nurture. So let me ask another question. Let me give it another example here. Is if somebody's 2 years out, okay, so this is now, this is today, and this is when they're buying the house. And this timeline is for 2 years. Where is the easiest point to convert this lead to a client, right? Where is this easiest? Is it easiest to do this right here when they're, let's just say, doing offers? Or is it out here when they're doing research? Which one is easier? Obviously, it's easier to win the business here. Oftentimes, if you're having conversations with people who is like, hey, I already saw the house that I want to write an offer on. I found it myself. I pre-negotiated the deal. I just need you to write up the offer. Usually, you are having a lower conversion. You're usually having a lower commission percentage. And realistically, this person is very transactional, which does not lead to a database of gold, right? So none of this leads to gold. If you have, and again, let's go back to the sales funnel. This top of funnel is way bigger. So if we draw a proportionate funnel, this is 91% of the people. And if you can earn the business here when nobody's fighting over it, everybody's fighting over this person here. Oh, I want to invest in a lead source and I want deals next week. Everybody is competing over these people, but nobody is competing over these research leads. So if you can come in and you can say, okay, one, it's easier to convert these leads to a client buckets, right? I want a larger percentage of my database. Imagine a database like this, and only 10% of the people you have are leads, and you have a lot of them. So imagine you generated a lot of research leads, your sales process converted them into clients, and then when they are ready, it is a no-brainer. What ends up happening is the opposite of what we just said here. What ends up happening with these types of leads, and this is my personal experience, is your conversion rate goes way up, your commission percentage goes up, your let's say database value goes up, your referrals go up. All of these things, and frankly, they're easier. These are the leads that when we get a high quality lead that comes in that we have nurtured with value long term, they are more asking, can I work with you? Versus, what do you charge? However, most people just aren't willing to do this. So at the end of the day, this is what I wanted to talk about, is the just value of creating a database that is worth gold and just looking at leads in a totally different way. Are you going to be in the business 2 years from now? So why not convert those leads that are ready next year or the year after right now today, and then put them on a maintenance plan? Now let me give you a pro tip that you can use right now in this video. And then I have another video that you're going to like a lot if you're excited about generating a lot of leads. So I call this our market update. I know, very revolutionary. But this is what we do. We send every single month, we send a monthly market update. So we're going to send 12 emails in a year. And by the way, this goes to our whole database. So it's not like you're writing every single person an individual market update. You are going to call, text, my favorite script of all time, you're going to have to memorize this, is did you get it? And you're just simply going to ask, what did you think? To the script, did you get it? And this, I will guarantee you, when we send this email out, now we send this through Follow Up Boss, which is our CRM, we get 70% open rates every single month. Now, this is our agents sending to leads that are in their database. When we send this newsletter in, we send a weekly newsletter every single week. Now, by the way, if you like this style of content, I am committing to making way more of it. I like showing the visuals as well too. So if you want to get a better look at all of this, I have everything you would want on our website if you just go right here. Now, the next video I'm going to share with you is our email newsletter. This is a huge, huge lift on our business. We send about 90,000 per week. Month. And we get 40+% open rates. And we get, right now, this is like updated stats, 3 to 4% click rates, which is insane to a list of leads. Now, mind you, these aren't my leads. These are database leads that have no idea who I am. A lot of them are cold, a lot of them coming through advertising. And we get this over and over and over and over with an incredibly low unsubscribe rate. So if you found this helpful and you like this type of content, I talk a lot about this in our free community. You can go to Onyx Homes, onyxhomes.com/school. The link will be down in the description, right? You can go check that out. But in this next video, I have the entire breakdown of how to make an email newsletter that we send every single week to get 40% open rates, 3 to 4% click rates. And there is a bonus in here in the free community that has the exact template of how we do everything. So if you want to go watch that next video, go ahead and click it here, like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.